What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down TUA TAGOVAILOA's Pro Day. We're going to talk about some of the best throws. I thought that some of this footage that was shown of him throwing this ball, I think his hip looks pretty good. I think his mechanics look good, and we're going to talk about what makes him a special passer, okay? And guys, if you want me to take a look at your throwing mechanics, right now is a perfect time to start fine-tuning your motion. Check out that link in the description that says submit your film for a film breakdown. Let's get started. So the first throw here, he's going to be working this hitch. The main thing I want to be talking about, or not this hitch route, but I want to be looking at is hitch up to make this throw in the pocket. So he's taking this 5-step drop, 2 hitches, and throwing this almost like back shoulder fade kind of comeback concept. So we're going to be here. So when he's dropping off the line, the main thing is when he gets to this top of the drop, I want you to see how he's in a strong position, right? With this back leg, he's nice and bent. This is something that I think a lot of people don't stress as much. When people are taking a 5-step drop, they kind of extend this back leg and all their weight's on that front leg, right? I want to get some kind of power source on my back leg so when I hitch, I'm able to get to this strong base and maintain my base here. Now, here's one of the questions that I had, at least with Tua. You guys probably all saw that clip that first came out of him throwing. His base looked real narrow, right? And his motion was starting to pop up a little bit. His butt was popping up. Right now, I think his base looks perfect. When he's hitching, he's moving both feet at the same time. That's something that a lot of young quarterbacks don't do in the pocket. What they do is they'll just move this back foot. They'll just bring that back foot close to the front foot. They'll be super narrow, and then they have a long stride. But when you hitch and you're moving both feet at the same time like that, you maintain your base, you maintain this strong base, you're able to sit your butt down, and that's how you get a lot of power. So now he's in a strong base, so this front stride's going to come down a lot faster than it would if he was narrow, right? So what starts that is this push from the back leg. You want to think of it like maybe there's like a water bottle right behind this foot, and you got to push forward and turn that knee over and pivot off this back foot to get this hip to come through, but also to produce ground force, right? So you see how he's here. He's pushing and then quickly turns it into ground force and pivoting off of this leg to bring that right hip through, right? And as he's pushing, I want you to see what he's doing. Separating these hands, getting to this opposite equal angle, right? We don't need to make this thing a perfect L. That's unrealistic to expect every quarterback has to do that. But we need some kind of a backstroke, and then your hip coming through is what supports the motion, right? So again, driving his hips, and you see that's what brings him up to 90. He doesn't lift straight to this point, because quarterbacks who lift straight to that point, then they try to bring their hip through, then the ball dips behind their head, right? That's a lot of stress on the shoulder, and we're not going to be able to change levels on the throw as effectively. We want to get this backstroke and let my hips do the work. Now, you see when his hips are coming through, I want you to watch this front shoulder. That front shoulder doesn't swing open, and that's something that a lot of people make the mistake of doing as well. They have great drive, they have great hips, but then they take this front shoulder and rotate and replace it, and they just finish with this front shoulder. They rotate with the front shoulder fine, and that's okay, but when you swing that front shoulder, it's a loss of torque. When you can keep this tight and you have a violent hip drive and you're pushing off this inside arch to create ground force with a quick front stride, that's going to give you a lot of power and a lot of velocity on this ball, just like how Tua is making this throw. There's a great position here. Hip is coming through. Ball is chasing the hip. That's a great job by Tua and staying square with his shoulders. Let's look at another throw. Let's watch this full speed one more time. So again, taking this 5, 2 hitches, staying in a strong base, both feet moving at the same time. That's a great shot. Okay, so now he's going to be throwing this bang 8 off of a 5-step drop. We're going to talk about your footwork when you're throwing a rhythm throw, when you can't hitch and you just got to throw off of that last step. Okay, that's another great shot here by Tua. And again, I get it. This is t-shirt and shorts, but it's good to see him throwing, and it's good to see him being in a strong base, because when you injure your hip, that's one of the most important things for a quarterback to have, right? You got to have great hip drive, you got to have loose hips, and you got to be able to get to a base to be efficient in the pocket, and it's great to see him being able to do that, because I think that answers any questions you might have about him being hurt. So you see when he hits this 5th step in the drop, right? Well, number one, when he hits that last step, or that second to last step, that's what's going to get your hips in line with the throw. What a lot of people do is they'll stay straight forward, they'll hit this 5th step, and they'll try to bring that front leg all together at one time. That's not what you want as a quarterback. You want to get your cleats in the ground, 4, 5, and now you see his hips are in a direct line with that. His front shoulder, his hip, and his front leg are all in a line to make this throw. Now, all we got to be able to do is push off of this back leg, produce some ground force, and you see when he hits this back leg, he's already in that strong base, right? What a lot of guys will do is when they throw rhythm is that leg will be so far underneath their shoulders that when they go to push here, this front stride will come long, and then they have this real long release because they strided long, right? You want to make sure when we get to that rhythm drop, whether I'm throwing a speed speed out, whether I'm throwing something under center like a quick slant or whether I'm throwing a bang 8, I got to be able to hit that back leg, and I'm already in that strong base position. Now, another thing I want to talk about is how relaxed he is, right? Everybody loves to talk about his quick release, right? That's why he gets a lot of maybe Drew Brees comparisons, right? Look at how low, I wouldn't say low, but how relaxed he has this thing. Because what a lot of people have taught, oh, hold this ball up by your ear, it'll be quicker. That's not the case, because when you hold this thing up by your ear, you don't have a backstroke. Then you lift this thing straight back, then your hip comes through, then it dips behind your head, right? It's a two-part sequence. You want a backstroke and you want your hip to bring it through. And when I'm relaxed here and I'm relaxed with my traps and I'm relaxed with my elbows, all the force I'm going to create is from my legs and from my hips, okay? That's where all the force from your body has to go. Your body can only create so much force, right? So if we're relaxed at my upper half, I could create more force from my legs and more force from my hips. And you see that's exactly what he does. Hits that 5th step. You see how quick that front foot's down when he's starting this backstroke, and then just let his hips do the work. That's a great job here by Tua, rotating through. Let's watch this thing full speed one more time. There's a great rhythm 5, hitting the back step and just throwing this post route, okay? Get those hips there on that 4th and 5th step. Get to a strong base. Get the front foot down. All right, so now we're going to take a look at this throw here. So a little bit of a reset, going through progressions, then throwing this fade downfield. We're going to talk about your base here in the pocket, okay? So he hits this last step of the drop, and I want you to see, look at this base, right? Maybe a little bit too wide with this back leg, but here's the thing. I'd rather have you be here than super narrow with your feet together, right? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people think that a wide base, a lot of people don't teach a wide base because they think, oh, you're not going to have any power if you don't push off of this back leg, right? All your power comes, the reason why you have a wide base is because you can push off of this back leg off that inside arch, and your front foot will come down naturally, right? Now let's take a look at this throw here. You see how his feet, now this is the right base, his feet are just outside of his shoulders here, but we're not thinking step. See, what a lot of people think is, oh, you're just going to step with the front foot and then bring the hip through, and you're not going to push it all off of your back leg. That's not true. You want to be able to convert ground force push into a rotational force, right? You want to squeeze this back knee close to that front knee, and that's the way, at least I say, that's the terminology I use. You want to push here and squeeze that knee to get that hip to turn over, like you're almost pivoting, right? But you're almost pivoting off these toes. And if you have a wide base, that front stride's going to be quicker, and that's just going to make this whole process better if we're pushing. If we have a wide base, fellas, and we're here, and if we have a wide base and I don't push, it's going to feel like I have no power at all. It's going to feel like, why am I even in this wide base? I don't feel strong at all. See, why a lot of people coach being narrow is because they don't understand the concept of pushing. What they understand is, oh, you're stepping and throwing. Everybody was taught that when they were little, just step and throw to the target. But when your base is wide here, your front foot's going to naturally come down. It's the same, you're striding at the same spot. It's just more explosive because we're able to maximize ground force. You look at a guy like Drew Brees in the pocket, and you can't use the excuse, oh, the wide base is going to make me lose height, because Brees is 5'7" back there when he's in his base. And he's pushing as much as he can because obviously he's not the most physically gifted passer, and that's not trying to knock him or anything. He's one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but he's not a guy that you're going to look at and say, oh, he might be a quarterback, right? But he's got great mechanics, and that's what makes the ball get there. That's what gives the ball velocity. And him having a wide base and Tua having a wide base here allows for more ground force and more hip drive, okay? And you see how quick that front foot's in the ground, even on a deep ball, right? You see how he's pushing from this leg. If there was something standing directly behind his foot, like right here, he would not hit it because he's able to push and pivot and turn that thing turn that ground force right into rotational force. And what I mean by squeezing the knee is exactly this. You want to try to bring that knee through, okay? And squeezing the knee is kind of a interesting way to say it, but you want to squeeze that knee and still get the front foot down. When we're throwing a deep ball, guys, that front foot should strike the ground the exact same. I should still have a slight bend in my front leg. That's another thing. When we're able to push off of this back leg and this wide base, we got to make sure that I keep a slight bend in my front knee, because if I extend and pop up, my butt pops up and then I lose ground force. That's a great job by Tua here, rotating through with his hips and, again, keeping that front shoulder nice and tight. That's another thing that I see that he's worked on. That's a great ball. Let's watch it again one more time. So your base is super important, guys. Being able to get that front foot down fast, being able to rotate straight around. Let's watch this thing again. So coming off here, reset, drive that hip. That's a great job by Tua. Again, T-shirt and shorts, I get it, but it's great to see him throwing and great to see him. Honestly, I think that's improvement when it comes to his mechanics from the time when he was in college. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you're a quarterback, guys, and you want to get better at reading coverages as well, check out that link in the description, and please leave any questions in the comments. I'll make sure to get back to you. I'll see you guys next time.